Hello, this is Dias and a new author's story from my channel Russian Revenge Story. Semyon Andreevich watched with interest as the young girl, having finished cleaning, began trimming dry leaves from the houseplants. "I think your name is Vera?" he asked. The girl shuddered in surprise and turned around. "Sorry, I didn't notice you come in. I'll finish now and leave." She began to hurriedly collect the scissors and leaves. "You didn't answer my question," Semyon Andreevich reminded. "Yes, my name is Vera. Sorry, I didn't expect you to come so early," she answered, looking at him with embarrassment. Semyon Andreevich glanced at his watch. It was only 7 in the morning, although the working day began at 9. "You were so carried away by your work that I decided not to disturb you," he said, smiling reservedly. "I just don't like it when plants look unkempt," the girl replied, smiling slightly in response. "In that case, you can continue calmly," he nodded. "No one is here yet, so no one will bother you." His thoughts were interrupted by a phone call. It was the police calling to pick up his son. To be honest, he was ready to refuse and let his son suffer the full punishment. But his wife, waking up, insisted, and Semyon Andreevich had to go get Igor. Having brought him home, he could not restrain himself and gave his son a couple of slaps, also not forgetting his friends, whom he then drove home. Returning home at almost 6 in the morning, he saw his wife and housekeeper fussing around Igor, giving him tea and applying a compress to his forehead. Everything inside was boiling. He did not understand how to make his son realize that he could not live like this. Since Igor returned from studying abroad, he had not worked a single day. Semyon Andreevich had blocked his bank card more than once, but his wife had always given hers to her son. Igor continued to walk around, have fun, using his famous name, and any misdeeds were forgiven. But this time Igor outdid himself. Together with his friends, the sons of Semyon Andreevich's business partners, they stole a police car and drove around the city drunk. "Vera, tell me, why are you, so young, working as a cleaner?" he asked unexpectedly. The girl smiled, clearly not expecting such interest. "I study in the correspondence department. I can only work early in the morning and late in the evening, because I need to look after my mother. During the day, a neighbor looks after her, but she has her own things to do, so I work morning and evening shifts. In the morning with you, and in the evening I clean the entrances," Vera answered. Semyon Andreevich was amazed by her diligence and so many responsibilities. "Vera, why do you have to work so much? What about your studies, exams?" he asked with interest. "Mom has serious health problems. The medications are very expensive. And I also have a brother, but he leads an unhealthy lifestyle." "Sorry, I'm done. I'll go," she said, and began to get ready. Semyon Andreevich watched her go and thought. By the evening, he already knew a lot about the girl. He wanted to express his respect for her resilience and diligence. Having called the accounting department, he ordered to increase her salary, mentioning that caring for the plants was not part of her responsibilities. In his company, no one asked questions, so after hearing the short answer, "We'll do it," he hung up. Returning home in the evening, he noticed that his son's friends were crowding around the gate again. Their car was parked around the corner. It seemed that Igor was getting ready to have fun again. Semyon Andreevich felt a wave of indignation growing inside him. And then he saw Igor coming down the steps to meet him. "Well, son, did you get enough sleep? Did you rest?" Semyon Andreevich said, holding back his anger, preparing for another conversation about how to live. Igor looked at his father, but could not understand why he had suddenly become so soft and gentle. His voice was quiet, completely unlike his father's usual tone. "Well, did you rest?" Semyon Andreevich asked. "Yeah, I think I'm fine," Igor answered. "Come back home." Semyon Andreevich headed into the house without looking back, and Igor had no choice but to follow him. He felt with his skin that something unpleasant was coming, but he obeyed, just like he had once, when he had to spend 4 years almost locked up studying. The mother looked at her husband and son with concern. "Son, have you forgotten something?" Igor did not have time to answer. His father beat him to it. "Of course, I forgot. I forgot that he is a man, not an animal. Who will explain to me why I should blush for my son? Why are others proud of their children, but I have to be ashamed?" Semyon Andreevich rarely raised his voice, especially to his wife, and when it happened, it was always Igor. She froze, and he took a stack of newspapers and magazines out of his briefcase. "Look at your son." The photographs clearly showed Igor showing off his bare bottom while driving past the police station in a stolen police car. Igor only now remembered this episode. It seemed that his plans for the evening had fallen through. The father turned to his son. "Whether you want it or not, I will make a man out of you, and if it doesn't work out, I will throw you out the gate and see how you survive." Igor decided to show his character, considering himself an adult and independent. "I decide for myself what and when to do." The father's face turned purple. He took out his phone and called the head of security. "Kostya, come to me, quickly." The mother came up to Igor and hugged him. She knew that now her son would have to answer, although she warned him to be careful. In 15 minutes, the head of security was there. All this time, Semyon Andreevich sat silently in the chair, looking gloomily at his son. "Semyon Andreevich, did you call?" "Yes, Kostya, come in." A young, fit man came closer to the owner. "Do you see," said Semyon Andreevich, pointing at Igor, "this brainless creature?" The man remained unperturbed. "Yes, of course. Do what you want. Chain him, put a guard, but he must not go beyond the yard until I give permission. Is everything clear?" "Got it. We'll do it." Dismissed. Kostya left, and Igor looked at his father in shock. "Are you crazy? This is some kind of Middle Ages. They don't punish children like that anymore. It's illegal." "This is not a punishment. It's time for me to come up with a real punishment for you. And believe me, I will find a way," answered the father. Igor went to his room, angry with his father. Semyon Andreevich woke up early the next day, looked at the clock. It was 5 in the morning. He didn't want to sleep anymore, and he didn't want to be at home either. He quietly got ready and went to work. Semyon Andreevich loved his company. He created it from scratch and was now one of the wealthiest people in the city. It was no surprise that he met Vera on the spot. She was polishing the glass doors at the entrance. The girl looked at him again in surprise. "Semyon Andreevich, you're so early." "Yes, I can't sleep, Ver. Can you find some coffee and maybe some candy in the building? I didn't have time to have breakfast, and the secretary won't be here for a long time." She smiled sweetly and said, "Of course, I'll bring everything now." They were sitting in his office. Vera was very nice and friendly. "Did something happen?" she asked, frowning slightly. "Oh, Vera, don't even ask." Like in that movie. "The rich also cry," Semyon Andreevich answered bitterly. For some reason, he decided to tell her everything. She listened attentively, without interrupting, and then quietly said, "Yes, it's bad when a person has everything, but it doesn't bring happiness." After a short pause, he, unexpectedly for himself, asked a question. "Vera, what's wrong with your mother?" Vera sighed and said, "My mother used to work as a conductor. Once a fight broke out on the train, and she intervened to separate the people. In the end, she was pushed out while the train was moving. She had several surgeries, but in order to live without pain, she constantly needs medication or another surgery. I somehow earn money for what is necessary, but for the surgery, it is not enough." Semyon Andreevich, after thinking for a while, suddenly came up with an idea that had unexpectedly occurred to him. "Vera, how old are you? 22, right? Do you know what I want to offer? The opportunity to earn a lot of money. A lot. You will be able to pay for your mother's surgery and completely change your life." Vera narrowed her eyes in surprise. "And what do you need to do for this? Kill someone?" "Almost. Get married. To my son." "To your son?" Vera almost choked on her coffee and started coughing. "What?" "Listen, Vera, I've thought it all over," he answered calmly. When Igor left the wedding palace, he still couldn't believe that this was really happening. His father had married him to some poor, completely empty girl. "This is just some kind of prank," he muttered. Igor was sure that paparazzi would jump out from around the corner and shout, "This is a joke." But instead they got into the car, drove to a restaurant. No prank. Moreover, he saw familiar faces. His father's colleagues, business partners, his friends. Turning to his father, Igor asked in bewilderment, "Dad, are you serious?" "Yes, Igor. This is not a joke. The thing is that a criminal case was opened against you, and you were supposed to be imprisoned. I was able to persuade Fyodor not to follow through, convincing him that you had changed. The condition is simple. Marry a simple girl, move to the suburbs, and start earning money for yourself and your family. He promised to look after you and forget about the case if you prove that you have changed." At the wedding, when the celebration was in full swing, one of the businessmen he knew approached Semyon. "Semyon, you really made me laugh. Do you think you can change Igor? I'll disappoint you. It's our own fault that our children are like this." "They will not change." The man laughed and walked away. Vera understood what awaited her next when the car drove them to her house. Igor looked around in surprise. "Are we going to live here?" he asked, looking at the house in amazement. "We will. And now let's go to bed. I have to go to work early tomorrow," Vera answered categorically. A day passed, and Igor realized with surprise that not only was there no talk of a wedding night, but also of food. No one was going to cook for him in this house. Vera left for work early and studied in the evenings. A week later, in despair, Igor was forced to look for a job. Only after he got a job and brought home an advance, he was treated to dinner in his new home for the first time. 6 months passed. Semyon Andreevich was already pretty tired of the teasing from his colleagues. He even felt sorry for Igor. All his friends continued to have fun and live life to the fullest, and his own son found himself in a kind of exile, and Vera was forced to quit her job. "No," he decided, "tomorrow I myself will go to them." Although Kostya recently reported that Igor was now working, Semyon did not believe it. People do not change so easily. When he got out of the car, he was struck by how modest the house looked. "Can my son really live in a place like this?" he thought, heading for the door. He knocked, and a pleasant aroma came from behind the door. "Come in, the door is unlocked," a voice came from inside. Semyon pushed the door and froze in place. Vera was setting the table, and Igor, yes, that same Igor who had never done anything in his life, was standing at the sink and washing dishes. And both of them, oddly enough, were smiling. "Oh, who did this bring to us?" Igor asked cheerfully. clearly sincerely happy about his father's arrival. Vera also smiled amiably and invited, "Come in. We are just about to celebrate Igor's first bonus." Semyon sat down at the table, on which an appetizing chicken was placed. After a couple of pieces, he could not stand it. "What is the bonus for?" "Dad, I got a job at a factory that belongs to your competitor. I offered them an interesting idea, and when they realized its potential, they gave me a bonus. We are planning to do some renovations, so we decided to celebrate a little." Semyon Andreevich could not hide his surprise. "You have changed. I am proud of you," was all he could say. Vera quietly wiped away tears of joy, and Igor was beaming with happiness. When they went out onto the balcony to get some fresh air, Semyon Andreevich decided to confess. "Son, I need to confess something to you." "It's not worth it, Dad. Vera told me everything when I once tried to claim my marital responsibilities. It was a long time ago, and you know what? Thank you. If it weren't for this punishment, I would never have realized what an amazing wife I have next to me. If you and Mom don't accept her, we'll stay here. I can handle it. I may not become a millionaire like you, but I'll do everything I can for my family." Semyon smiled and said, "Okay, enough of this talk. Get ready. I don't want my son to work for the competition." Another 2 years passed. There was a knock on Semyon Andreevich's office. "Come in." It was his old friend and business partner. He looked worried. "So, what happened again?" asked Semyon. "Sashka. He's completely lost his mind. He and his friends hit a man and ran away. The victim survived, but turned out to be a lawyer, and my son was driving. Maybe it's time to stop settling everything for him. Let him sort it out himself for once." "Easy for you to say. Look at the business your son has started. They say he bought something else and is planning to open a juice production." "I had such thoughts. You know what? Find him a wife like Vera who can put him in his place. Of course, don't let him go to jail, but let him feel the consequences." "Thanks for the advice. I'll try," the friend answered thoughtfully, leaving. If you liked the story, please support me with a like. And to learn about the release of new, interesting stories, subscribe to my channel. All the best to you. Thank you for watching.